So my quest for the perfect camera hiking bag continues, and there is a new company that has entered the game. This is the Hyker 25 litre by Cotton Carrier. Now, a lot of you might have heard of Cotton Carrier. They have been in the camera carrying game for quite a long time, but this is actually their first camera bag and their first hiking camera bag. And what's really interesting about this bag is I would say that Cotton Carrier have actually approached it in a different way to most other camera companies. And there's some really unique and interesting features of this bag that I'm going to get into in just a second. But firstly, let's talk about that camera carrying system that Cotton Carrier is known for. So Cotton Carrier make a lot of different ways of carrying cameras in a sort of a quick access way. They make big body slings and holsters. It's a great way to carry sort of larger wildlife lenses or carry sort of multiple cameras at once and have them at really quick access. And on this bag, they have their system built in directly to the shoulder strap on the right hand side here. You might be able to see that there's a small plastic plate here on the strap, and that goes along with this sort of round disc on the bottom of your camera. That just screws onto the 1/4" thread that you would use for a tripod plate, and then it goes on really nicely. You turn your camera into sort of a 90 degrees, slide it into the slot, it swings 90 degrees and then locks into place. So when it's like that, it can't go up or down, it can't fall out, and then you twist it again to pull it out. And honestly, it's actually a really satisfying system. Now, I hadn't used Cotton Carrier before I got sent this bag, but I did have multiple friends that have different versions of this sort of plates that they attach to other bags. And I was really pleasantly surprised at how quick and smooth that is to get in and out like that. It's really, really satisfying. And I think the great thing about this little system as well is it's not going to get as jammed up as some other sort of clips do, or those quick release plates. I've had ones in the past that after they've kind of had a bit of a knock around, it's quite hard to get the camera in and out. But this is honestly just so smooth and so quick. I think this is going to be a really good little quick release system. Now, the standard sort of round plate that comes with the bag does have a 1/4" screw thread on the bottom of it. So what that means is you can screw this directly onto sort of a tripod quick release plate. But the thing with that is it means you can have it quick from here to here. But then if you want to put this onto a tripod, it is a bit of a pain. You have to screw that in. That's the one downside of this sort of system. However, Cotton Carrier do have a way around that, and this is what I would highly recommend if you were looking at this bag or this system, is they do sell this sort of adapter plate here. And you might be able to see when mounted onto the camera, this gives you the sort of Arcus Swiss plate design that you'd get from a tripod. So if I put this on my camera first and then the round little plate, I get the best of both worlds. I get this super satisfying, super quick release plate, and then I can pop it straight onto a tripod. Personally, I think it should always come with this plate, because for me, I'm going to want to pop it on and off of a tripod onto my bag relatively often without having to screw a little plate on the bottom. So what do I mean when I say Cotton Carrier have approached the design of this bag a little bit differently? Well, fundamentally, what I think they've done is they've made a really good hiking bag. They've made a really good bag to do day hikes with, and it's also able to carry a camera and has some camera specific features, as opposed to making a camera bag that is comfortable to hike with. And that is not a bad thing at all. That Cotton Carrier system on the shoulder strap is really what they're known for, right? They're all about having really quick access to your camera and having it on you and available, being able to get it out quickly and take more pictures. And that is how this bag works. So in some ways, you might find a couple of features you'd be used to seeing on a camera bag missing from this bag, but that is more than made up for some of those unique features and how good it is to carry and to hike with. So first, let's talk a little bit about how this bag fits and how it feels on your back. Now, for some of those external features, and most importantly the back system and the general carry system of this bag, now some of the more observant of you might have noticed that there isn't a massive zip on the back here to open up the whole back of the bag, or barn door open and have access to the whole back of the bag at once. Now, that's a feature that you would see on a lot of different camera bags, but I think Cotton Carrier have made a conscious decision to admit that in exchange for a more adjustable, more breathable and more comfortable carry system. Now, I have to admit, I do really like a camera bag that opens up like that, and especially if I'm not really hiking too far and I'm setting up at, say, the shoreline of a lake, and I just want to get access to everything, to all my filters and all my lenses, so I can change things around. However, that is not how I use a camera bag when I'm out hiking. In all honesty, when I'm hiking, I'm either carrying a camera bag here on the shoulder strap, or I'm putting it in the bag to hike down with. When I'm not using it anymore, I'm just tucking it away and going downhill, or I will stop, take the time to take things out and switch lenses. And this bag actually works really, really well for that type of scenario. But back to the carry system and why this is so good. This carry system does have a metal frame that runs all the way around it, which means you're going to get that weight spread out a bit more. It's going to transfer some of that weight down onto this waist strap and onto your hips and give your shoulders a bit of a break. The back system here is also a suspended breathable back system. So what that means is you're going to get air flowing behind the back system there. It's going to be more comfortable and it's going to stop you getting quite as hot and quite as sweaty a back when you're out hiking. So it's really nice to see maybe a bit more concentration put into the actual carry system on the back of this bag here. To adjust the back system here as well, there is a Velcro tab that sits underneath the sort of suspended frame here, and there are 3 different points you can use to adjust those shoulder straps up and down and really dial in the fit. As for the shoulder straps, they are really nice and comfortable on this bag. There's a good amount of padding there. You might just about be able to see as well, they do have a sort of a mesh to them. There are sort of air gaps to let air flow pass through, again stopping you getting too sweaty whilst you're out hiking. And on the front of the straps here, we of course have that cotton carrier system that I mentioned before, and we have a slightly wider strap up front. The reason for that is the cotton carrier system isn't just this small piece of plastic here. There's actually a plate that sort of runs underneath the strap here, helping it stay a bit more balanced. It means the camera doesn't wobble around whilst you go. It's actually nice and stable on there. Then on the other strap, we have this little pocket here. Now this pocket's really nice and stretchy and can be used for all manner of things. I think the idea of it is to be able to take your phone on there, but for me personally, I'm probably going to put things like an Osmo Pocket if I'm out vlogging, or in Canada it's really useful for a can of bear spray. Then you have really quick access to that as well. A couple of the bags I've tried and tested over the last couple of years have had this sort of feature, and to be honest with you, I wouldn't buy a bag without a way you've been able to carry the camera on the strap or one of these extra pockets. They are just super, super useful to have sort of hands-free shooting and video on demand. Now on top of that, we do have the standard sort of adjustments that you'll find on most hiking bags or camera bags and their shoulder straps. We have the load lifters on the back here so I can dial in the fit. I also have the adjustment straps on the bottom here so I can get it nice and tight and sitting well on my back. And then of course I also have a chest strap that clips up over the top here. And then that does also slide up and down so you can really dial in the fit. Always great to see those sort of features on any bag. And then lastly, for adjustments on the carry system, we have a really good hip strap on this bag. Clip it together, take the weight off your shoulders a little bit, and we have a heap of adjustment on this thing as well. In fact, these are almost too long, but what that means is it will fit almost any waist size, right? You can do it up super, super tight, have it nice and loose, and then there is some elastic where you can tuck away the excess webbing on here as well and kind of just keep it out of the way. On the right-hand side of the hip strap, we have a really nice pocket here. Zips open. It's mesh and stretchy. You can fit a phone in there, again, a DJI Osmo or some snacks. Always love having a little waistband pocket on a hiking pack. And on the other side here, we do have a band where you can attach another cotton carrier if you want to do that, and then have a second camera sort of hanging from your waist strap, or use one of their lens bags and have secondary lenses hanging from you here, again for really quick access. The bag also comes with a couple of other accessories to use on the shoulder straps. The first one being this sort of lanyard. And you can see here there's a couple of clipping points on both sides. So you could clip on the lanyard, and the idea of that is it clips onto the bag and then you can thread it through onto your camera. And then it just means if you are using your camera quickly, you're not going to drop it, you're not going to lose it, and then you can always disconnect it using the clip. These carriers are also sort of designed for binoculars as well. So if you are a wildlife photographer or a birder and you carry binoculars with you, you might even want to put those on the quick release plate here and have them on this lanyard. And that way you're not going to lose them or drop them, and they're not going to break, they're never going to hit the ground. The second accessory for me, I think, will be a little bit more useful. It's this little mini rain cover. And what I tend to do is clip this on to the right hand side of my bag where my camera would be. And then a little rain cover folds out of there and can go over the camera whilst it's still on the outside here. So you can waterproof it really quickly if there's a sudden downpour without worrying about having to cover up the whole bag or kind of stop what you're doing. And as for the front of the bag here, again, we have some really nice sort of hiking features. We have this nice big stretchy mesh pocket on the front of the bag. This is a feature that I look for on any hiking bag really. It's just a super useful place to put extra layers mid-hike. You can just take them off and stuff them in and get them out again if it does rain or if it gets colder. Really nice to see that on this bag. And on one side here we have a really nice spot for a bottle of water, like a water carrier, and it's quick access. We've got this small hole on the side here, meaning you can reach around and grab the water bottle without taking your bag off. That's really stretchy and really big, easily fits in a big sort of litre and a half Nalgene bottle. And on the other side, we have a tripod holder. So we have this smaller pocket where you can fit in a couple of legs of a tripod and then strap it back with this compression strap at the top. One thing with this is I would have liked to have seen this pocket maybe be a little bit more stretchy. If you do have a bigger tripod, you might struggle to get all the feet into there, and it's quite nice to capture them all in one go, because especially with this twist lock sort of leg, whilst you're hiking, these can undo and they slide around a bit. But apart from that one little niggle, it holds the tripod really nicely. And for me, whilst I'm hiking, I'm not going to take a tripod much bigger than that anyway, because I want it to be lightweight. And then this first pocket on the top here is an organisation pocket. We can open that up, and inside here we've got another little zip area with a clip for your keys. Good place to keep things safe. And then several other pockets down the back, down the front, and some smaller ones for organisation. A great place for the odd filter or spare batteries. And then on the bottom of the bag here, we do also have a built-in rain cover. And in my opinion, that's exactly where it should be on the bag. There should be an external pocket for it. But again, if we just open that zip up, we can pull that rain cover out. And then not only do we have a rain cover for the whole bag, we also have that mini one that goes over your camera as well, so you can keep everything absolutely waterproof. And then we have two main zippers to access the main compartment of the bag. The first one being on the top here. If we open that up, you'll see we get access to the main compartment. On the top here, I've got a few different layers. And the nice thing about this bag is it's actually separated, which I'll show you in just a second. So I can keep layers and food and snacks on top. There's a little separated layer here before we get to the camera cube, which is removable, so I can keep those two separate or choose to have one big bag. You can also see here as well, we've got another piece of netting here, so anything you need for quick access, we have a secondary zip where you can keep a few bits inside that as well. So really easy to organize all your hiking bits and camera bits in this bag. And then on this side where we have that water bottle holder, we have another compression strap we can undo, and then we have an absolutely huge side zipper here. And this again is another conscious decision by Cotton Carrier to differentiate themselves a little bit from normal hiking camera backpacks. Rather than that big section on the back, that big opening door you might find quite often, we have side access. And if I open that up, we have the camera cube inside here. I've got a medium camera cube in here with a quick access door and also access to all of my layers. So I can still access everything from within the bag nice and easily. I just don't have that big lay flat sort of door option. But I think in all honesty, this works really, really well. And from this view, you might be able to see that divider there that's hooked on. So that divider is keeping everything separate. And what I really like about this bag is that sort of different thought process in a way. Like I said, when I hike with a camera bag, it is different to when I sort of just go out and do normal landscape photography. If I'm going out on a big day hike where a bag like this would be useful, what I'm really going to do is I'm going to hike to a summit, I'm going to put my bag down, and then I'm going to get my camera gear out, right? On the way throughout the hike, I've had the camera right here on my shoulder strap. I'm taking pictures as I go, but when I get to the top, I'm going to put the bag down, open up the side zipper, and then I'm going to pull my camera cube all the way out, lay that down, get everything I need out of there, and kind of set up for the shoot. And as you can see, even though I've taken that camera cube out of the bag right now, that divider is keeping that space nice and free and keeping all my hiking equipment above it, so I can easily slide this camera cube back in and out. Now with this bag, you can buy just the bag on its own and add your own camera cube into there, or you can grab one of these ones from Cotton Carrier that fit in the bag really nicely. And there are a few different sizes to choose from. Like I mentioned, this is the medium camera cube, and for me, I find that to be a pretty perfect fit. I don't want to be taking absolutely loads of stuff with me if I am out on a longer day hike. So if I open this up, you'll see that I have everything I would need inside here really to not only shoot images, but also to film or vlog when I'm out and about as well. So you can see here I have a camera body with a lens already attached to it. Then I have a secondary lens here as well. And then this is my DJI Osmo in its bag, which is what I use to film a lot of YouTube videos with. And then underneath that I have a 70-200. The cube comes with a lot of different dividers as well, so you can sort of configure that any way you see fit. And if you've got a smaller mirrorless camera, you can be able to squeeze even more inside that as well. One thing I would say with this camera cube though is I think it would have been nice if it was just a little bit deeper. That would of course mean the bag would have to also be a little bit deeper. But as you can see here, is this lens that is stacked upright is maybe a little bit higher than the camera cube, but there's a good bit of give in the lid here, so it's not hard to do it up. But I think if it was just a fraction deeper, that would have been nice, and it would have meant it was easier to stack my DJI Osmo on top of this lens. And the combination of this camera cube and the bag is really nice as well, because I'm actually about to go on a trip to Europe for about 4 or 5 weeks, right? And I want to take a camera bag with me. I want to take a bag I can comfortably hike with, but I know some of the budget airlines in Europe, I'm not going to be able to go on with my whole bag. I only have a personal item, but this camera cube would be perfect to take on as my personal item, and the bag itself can flatten down and go in my check luggage, and then when I get there I can just pop this in my bag and then carry on my way. So it's a great little combination. And as you might have noticed before, there is a little side entry to this bag as well, which opens up and works as a sort of a quick access on the bag, so you can swing the bag around, open this door and pull the camera in and out whilst you are mid-hike. I really like the combination of this camera cube and the side entry on this bag. It's a refreshing change, it's something a little bit different, and it works really, really well for the style of bag that it is. But there is also one feature they've thought differently about in a way, and it's a feature that I've talked about in other videos, and that's how you carry water. So the conundrum of how to carry water in a camera bag is something that I've talked about in other review videos, and it's still something that I don't know if has been 100% solved. There are obviously a few problems with it. It's like, where do you keep the water? Do you keep it in the same area as your camera? Do you keep it in a separate part of the bag, or do you keep it externally? And where's the weight more balanced, right? But what Cotton Carrier have actually done is they haven't tried to do anything super clever or super different when it comes to carrying water. They've actually just gone with the technique of almost every other hiking bag there is on the market that carries a water bladder. And you might have already noticed I have a bladder hose coming out the top of this bag here, because it is compatible, like any hiking bag, with a water bladder, which sounds like the obvious choice, doesn't it? So when I open this up, you can see that it's just a sort of normal bladder storage, right? We have this elasticated pocket that the bladder slides down into, and then we have a Velcro tab here that helps keep it upright and stops it sliding down too far. And then we have the hose that runs through the hole in the back of the bag and magnetizes onto my chest strap, just like it would in any other hiking bag. So that conscious design decision to not have that big rear opening has made carrying water a lot more simple. This big side zip means we can get quick access to all of our camera gear mid-hike or when we set up, and it also means I can carry water at the back of my bag, so the extra weight is close to my back, making the bag more comfortable and making water easier to access and freeing up those side pockets. It's kind of so obvious and so simple, but it works, right? If you have rear opening, you have this hose problem. The hose gets tangled up, it needs somewhere to go, it's going to get in the way of you opening and closing the door. But getting rid of a rear opening entirely and using that side entry has just meant that's not a problem. And this has become one of my favorite bags to day hike with whilst carrying camera gear, purely because of this reason. I can carry water where I want it to be, not sacrifice comfort for it or ease of access to it, and still carry my camera gear. And to be honest with you, I don't think there is any risk of this bladder getting my camera gear wet. For one, it's behind this sort of nylon layer, which is going to offer a little bit of waterproofing. Secondly, my camera bag is in a secondary camera cube, so there's even more layers between my camera and this water bladder. And I have never heard of one of these Hydro Pack water bladders bursting, especially whilst inside a bag. So if you buy a good quality one, I think you're going to be pretty safe here, and you've got the best of both worlds. Super simple, don't overthink it. Copy a hiking bag, make it carry camera gear, and you end up with a really decent bag to shoot with and hike with. So, is it the perfect camera hiking bag? Well, I don't know if I would say perfect, but it is pretty damn close. And for the way I use my camera and my camera equipment whilst I'm out hiking, this is pretty damn perfect. It carries everything I need it to, and it carries it where I want to carry it. I can easily carry a tripod, multiple layers, my lunch, my camera in a quick access place, and most importantly, my water bladder, so I can get quick access to water too. And any sort of gripes I've got with this bag are all pretty minor. Like, it would have been nice to see maybe a bit of webbing or elastic on the shoulder strap here where I could easily tuck this hose through to keep it more in place. And maybe some of the dimensions could have been increased a little bit on the bag, because it does get a bit tight if you're putting a bladder in the back and also putting a camera cube in there too, but it definitely still works. But like I said, Cotton Carrier have been really clever here by almost designing it less like a standard camera bag, has made it a better camera bag, especially a better camera bag to hike with. So go and check out Cotton Carrier. There's a link in the description below. It's a really great bag, and I think it's the bag that I'm going to take to Europe with me on my upcoming trip as well. And if you are already using Cotton Carrier as a way to carry your camera and you're part of the ecosystem, this bag really is a no-brainer.